Wanted to ask you guys something about this because I saw quietly this happened over the weekend, and I don't get offended by very much that happens anymore in sports. I really don't. So when I'm watching the outrage about the All-Star game in the NBA, I wonder why the outrage isn't similar on the story I'm about to tell you, which is it's been reported that the trustees, the money in Penn State, wants to put Joe Paterno's name back on the stadium, and we're like in violation of public law by having the meetings in private when you're supposed to do that stuff in front of people. But the money at Penn State, after the single largest sports scandal or scandal of any kind that I can remember anywhere in sports, it's such ancient history that we get forgetful after 3 presidential cycles, that 12 years goes by and you're like, So Paterno helped lead kids into wounding that they will never get off of them because Sandusky was a pedophile running amok at his university with young boys and their futures sent to him for future scarring because he was disguised in plain sight and protected by the saint of Penn State football, that they would topple his statues and that the noise would be loud enough for the moment to topple his statues, but that everyone would forget them in the echoes of the years that followed. It's deeply offensive that this isn't a bigger story. Never mind that you're trying to do it in private when public law suggests that that's a violation and a crime in and of itself. But to do that with your money, when you think all along that Joe Paterno has been wronged and you're forgetting, or maybe don't care, maybe it's not even forgetting, that the largest sports scandal of our lifetime, that a patron saint of college football, an American hero, was overseeing one of his assistant coaches leading boys to horror that they will never undo. How does that happen quietly? Like, how is that something that happens and just escapes the attention because 12 years go by and, well, Paterno's dead and history doesn't matter?
I think because it also forces you to relive that, and hearing you just recap the story and what led us here was not easy to process, and most people would rather ignore it than be reminded of it.
Are they talking about doing it? They haven't done it yet.
They haven't done it yet because
that's a big difference, though. I think the outcry is if they actually have the nerve to go through with it.
You think they were doing it like they announced it in a gauging response?
No, they didn't announce it. They were having private meetings. They did not want heard.
They wouldn't do so in a
seen.
Fashion that could be held against them if this is indeed against some sort of rule.
But this is some shadowy cult to be trying to like circumvent government law to have private meetings where the money reinstates.
The entire scandal was shadowy cult.
I mean, but come on. Like, we're going to get that forgetful about that? We're going to get that numb to sports controversy that the machine's going to be noisy for 3 days on the All-Star game, but this is going to be allowed to happen in the shadows? Like, what sense does that make to anybody? I know it's not, look, man, this isn't fun, but I was just shocked to even read it. Like, I was shocked to see, like, I had to go and do more research to find if the story was real because I'm like, wait a minute. So the statute of limitations on pedophilia is 12 years? So long enough for a generation to remember it. Like, is that... Like, how do you get forgetful about that? It was a giant scandal, and Penn State people were resolute about, no, you're wrong. You got it wrong about our St. Joe.
They took down his statue. They're going to put that up,
No, but
too?
they took it down under public pressure, and now they're talking privately, not about the statue, but putting his name on a stadium. Because a lot of people would make the argument on behalf of he didn't know when he knows when his players are missing an 8:15 meeting.
I mean, there were several accounts of people informing Joe Paterno of what's going on there and him turning a blind eye, and Jerry Sandusky still having an office.
But the trustees turning a blind eye to him in that because they are resolute that their money will win and they can put the name on the stadium because they have money and can erase or cure or throw a balm on something that cannot have a balm on it, cannot be allowed to have a public balm on it.
Yeah.
You can't, like, you might as well name it Stadium. Like, we don't care that it's the biggest sports scandal that anyone has ever seen, that a saint in college football was overseeing the worst of crimes, was even tangentially involved. Even as you can understand that he tried to live a good life, and you can try to understand through Joe Posnanski's excellent book that this probably killed Joe Paterno. That the end result is his death But then you're putting his name on his stadium and resurrecting all of it the moment that you do that. You don't bury him or this with that. You resurrect the name on the stadium, and those victims are supposed to feel how about that? In the middle of that campus.
And a lot of people tend to do the thing where they just see Joe Paterno as he was towards the end and say, this guy didn't have the faculties to truly understand the scope of his wrongdoing. And then you get familiar with the story, and this is several years long.
U Stadium does have a ring to it.
Yeah. Where did you go to school? I went to you.
Hell yeah.
FUS.
It is.
That's pretty good.
What the mascot's a middle finger? What is the mascot?
Double. It's like a double middle finger. It's two of them. They
It's
run
two
across
of
the
them, one of
sidelines.
them.
One side of the stadium says the other side of the stadium says you.
It's a good chant. Yeah, it's a good chant.
Sorry, Jeremy, and whoever's editing this.
Making this very difficult.